Now, listen, I've got a few questions for you. I've listened to your presentation, and then we'll give the audience a chance to ask some questions. But my first question is, you know, in selling, what is more important? Is it the act? Is it the sales speech? Or is it listening?
Yeah, well, to me, the most important is attitude. Because if your attitude is right, you're going to go into a sales interaction and your intent is on delivering real value. So everything else follows. So basically your ability to listen follows, everything follows. So the first thing is most definitely is attitude and passion for what you're doing, which is part of your attitude.
Now, you said that the way you look affects the way you think and the way you are.
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
Absolutely. So, for example, if you go into a sales presentation and you're very excited about your product and very passionate about it, immediately I'll see that in your body language. You'll automatically walk in and go, how are you doing? That's automatic. Good eye contact, good body language. If on the other hand you're going in and it's another job and you don't really care and, oh, well, we'll see what happens, you know, you might put on an act, but very quickly we'll see through that act. No question about that. The other side, I want to show you the other side, is what I do in an audience is I'm continually looking at what you're doing because I try to change it to get everybody involved. I know, for example, this person doesn't know that there was a yawn in the 4th row about 15 minutes ago. I watch everybody, from yawning to folding arms to etc., because what I want to do is bring everybody in the journey as much as possible. So here's the other side. So I said your thinking affects your physiology. Here's the other side. If you decide to come into a seminar like this, right? Now, of course, your attitude will have decided that in the first place. And you're like this. Do you think you're going to learn a lot? Very unlikely. Because your body language is telling your mind, which started this in the first place, of course, but it's telling your mind to switch off, and it will obey. So there's a link. But I'm telling you is, one final thing, is that okay, I promise? I did a conference with the directors of a multinational in New York, and I told them the following. I told the HR director, sorry, strike that, it was actually in Ireland, this one, directors brought in from around the world. I told the director, I will tell him where his problems was in the company within 10 minutes. Now, as it turns out, he only came up to me in the break. I knew it within 5 minutes. At the break also, this guy came up and he did the following. He came up and he went, my God, that was awesome. Wow, that was great, thank you so much, and walked away. So after I'd finished with that, I went to the HR director. He says, okay, you told me you would tell me where the problems was in our organization. I says, yes, no problem. Told him the first guy. Guess who the second guy was? The guy that came up and told me I was awesome. He said, you have got the 2 biggest problems absolutely right. You see, that's all fantastic telling me I'm awesome. But if I'm looking at you throughout the speech and you're completely disengaged, am I awesome or not? I amn't awesome. And I had watched him because there was only 24 people there, so I knew where everyone was in the audience. And I certainly knew that he was disengaged, didn't want to know about my stuff, so his awesome was just, he wanted more attention for himself, so he came up to get himself attention. Because people love attention. It's the drug we all work off. He felt good, so forth and so on. But I told his boss he should have been sacked after that. Yeah,
but listen, awesome. There are 2 meanings of that.
Yes.
If my son says awesome, that means great. Yes. If I look at you, what do you think I think?
I don't care. No, I make a judgment based on real situations. People come up to me at the end of the conference and says, okay, tell me all about myself. That's unreal. I'm more interested in looking at you in the audience. Are you listening or not? Are you active? That's the printout I work off, not when you prop yourself up. And by the way, I lived in California for 2 years, and awesome to me probably could mean ordinary or useless, because I heard it so often with no delivery. So,
I have 2 or 3 colleagues. I would like to ask you for some advice. I have 2 or 3 colleagues, and they really piss me off sometimes. They piss me off at 8 o'clock when I come to work, and then at 9 o'clock I have to deliver a very good sales speech. But I'm pissed off.
yeah.
How do I get my act together in half an hour so it doesn't eat me up anymore?
Okay, great stuff. Great question. Well, here's the interesting thing, okay? An important thing you need to know is teachers open the door, but you must enter by yourself. I cannot change anyone in this room. You choose to change. So similarly, in Peter's case, all he can do is develop himself and make better choices, that he's not going to get angry at this person and look at the bigger picture or whatever. That's all you can do. You cannot change that person. You can only change your reaction. Now, let's say you've left the room today, Peter, and I know you're going to do that as I hypnotize you. And you said to yourself, I'm going to start thinking about this and really believing that everybody can be my teacher. Well, that annoying person then is just another strong learning experience that would change your energy around them.
Yeah, but I just have a problem. I have to get I don't care about that person anymore.
You said that you have the problem. Well, you're the problem, you're the solution. That's the answer.
So, it is not...
Work on it.
Just work on it. It's as easy as that.
Well, it's not, but you know what I'm saying. Nothing's going to change except your reaction to it. If your metaphor is that everybody can be your teacher, like, I mean, I have to say one of the best teachers I ever had was a German who spoke in a very, very slow, methodical voice, and I met him in Colorado. And when I listened to him, I was going, oh, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. But I knew he was going to be a great teacher. I don't know why, just intuitively. And I spoke to him, and I got great, great lessons on life from him. So, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, are there any questions from the audience? The mic will be brought to you, please. We have some more minutes. Or would you like me to continue?
Would you like me to leave?
No, that's now, looks, appearances. You know, does a good salesperson need 3 different suits? Does he have to be well dressed or she? I mean, what about appearances?
Well, you see, appearances, I'm more into presence than appearance. And if a good salesperson turns up and they're energetic and passionate and they've got a great presence, I actually think you can transcend what they look like. I think you can. Obviously, it would take you longer. Oh, by the way, we'll ask a very interesting question. How many people here look at your piece of paper, analyze me right at the start? I'll ask a different question. How many people have changed their mind from what they wrote down on the piece of paper? Has anyone changed their opinion on me? Remember when I asked you for first impressions? Thank you for being honest. Okay. Most of you got what you expected, yeah? Okay. Of course, clothes, it really did, well, of course, it's based in industry as well. I'll tell you a very funny story. I turned up once at a mushroom manufacturer, and I was dressed in a Yves Saint Laurent suit, okay? So I walk out, and the owner of the business, a very successful man, came towards me in a white coat, his hands covered in muck, and he comes towards me, and I'm dressed in a suit. I knew I had a problem. What was the problem?
You weren't prepared.
Yes, and what was the problem, do you think, in his head? What do you think could be going on in his head when he saw me? This guy has never worked a day in his life. You know, what does he know about my business or anything like that? So I worked to sort that out. But see, I can give you 150 techniques, but I am telling you this, and I know this after 21 years in business, and I've been in loads of industries, and I've successfully sold in loads of industries. It is all down to your thinking. You get your attitude right, that's what precedes excellence. The most important thing you can go away with is, hey, I'm going to set goals, I'm going to work on my thinking, I'm going to stop listening to people who are doom and gloom, and I'm only going to focus on people that have been at the top of the mountain. Do you remember when the 3 journalists told me I would never write a best-selling book? There's a wonderful final story in India, which I learned when I was there, and they talk about going up the mountain, not with somebody that's painted the mountain, not with somebody that's talked about the mountain, not even with somebody that's read about the mountain. No, somebody that's been at the top of the mountain. And I choose to take counsel either from my intuition or people who have traveled that path before. You know? Yes, Pramos.
Can you summarize the attention, attitude, and action from the sales manager? Can you summarize the attention, attitude, and action from the sales manager's perspective?
From a sales manager perspective, it's very simple. It's all down to attitude. So, for example, take it in the context of an economy that's regressing. What I want in my sales manager is somebody who is still energetic, still excited, still passionate, and willing to persevere, and thinks, yes, in 10 years' time, I can get this deal, and that's the position they're in. I would like that for my sales manager. Why? Because that permeates, it goes through all the people that are working with them. Yeah? And of course, if the sales manager has the right attitude, of course he realizes not just his customer needs attention, his team needs attention as well. And we'll give them quality attention. We'll listen to their needs and wants. We'll try and reflect the vision with their values also. So it really is the same game. It's the same game in time every time. Really, for real great leaders, it starts with attitude. And if you don't believe me, here's another piece of research. 2007, Stanford Business Advisory Committee, the utmost probably authority in the world, said the following, that self-awareness was the most important attribute a leader should develop. So it's not just me that's saying that, everyone is saying it. But I'm more interested in telling you the how to. How do you develop self-awareness? And what are little philosophies you can use to improve? Believing everybody can be your teacher. Imagine you're with your team, and you're there, and you're asking them for ideas. And your team knows, yeah, he really does believe, or she really does believe that they can, you know, that I can teach them something as well. That's a different energy than if you're with the team and you're telling them what should happen, etc. You know what I'm saying, and you're not listening to anything they say. So it's the same principles. Whether it's a customer, external or internal, the principles remain the same. Authentic is the big game in town at the moment. That you really care about your customers and your employees. Same game. It's all about attitude, no question. But attitude is a long journey. It takes time, doesn't it? It'd be nicer just to say, repeat back to people what they've said, and everything would change. It will help you in a sales negotiation, but I'd prefer if you had your attitude right and everything would become completely automatic.
Kevin, the final question. Now, imagine I sell soap. Do I sell soap, or do I sell values around this certain piece of soap? Nowadays, do we sell stuff, or do we sell values around the stuff?
It's a really good question. Again, it's totally the industry. Like, for example, I was telling Primos last night, I just did this for friends of mine, and I don't normally do it, but in my past life, I used to do feasibility studies of products and ideas. And this is for an adventure park. Now, what's huge in adventure parks at the moment is to make sure, for paintballing, for example, that everything is recyclable. So there, you know, it's no longer just an adventure park, it wants to be a green adventure park. So obviously it will be a mix, it really depends on the product. But I have to say the following, and this is based on my 21 years in business. Two things. Number one, when I sold to people, and I'd like you to remember this, because it's a simple line, but if you can get there, this is how you break sales records. I always sold them back their product. Have you got that? I always sold them back their product. So what I did invariably at the start of any company I worked with was I went and did a sample of customers and spoke to them about the product and got their ideas. I listened, yeah? And then I went back and sold them back their product. So when I launched it, I went back to them and says, you know, our product includes, you know, something you mentioned to us, and, you know, we found it to be very important. It's a different selling proposition when you're selling them their product. It's a totally different energetic exchange. If, on the other hand, you decide not to listen to anybody, you'll always be selling your product. You know, do you understand the distinction? Hugely, hugely important. But for me, the second thing is, I have sold staircases that cost £25,000. I've sold gates for fronts of houses that have sold maybe £20,000. Gates, wrought iron gates, front of houses. I've got involved in the selling of ambulances, crystal. I can give you so many different products. How did I sell? In one word, actually three, a transfer of energy. That's being honest. So I am very confident that I can go into, and it's not about me, I believe, you know, if you had me for a day, I'd prove it to you beyond all reasonable doubt. But I believe anybody here, if they're committed and passionate about the product can sell just about anything. That's my opinion. Give or take, give me a few days on product knowledge, and I believe I'll sell anything.
Is the final wisdom of selling to sell how to sell?
Try that again.
You understood right.
Is how to sell. Yeah, yes and no. Honestly, I'm going to say this again. The game in town is authentic. And really, ultimately, if you really are passionate about your product or your service, and you care about the customers, you don't need to spend your time learning how to sell. Why? Because you're going to have it anyway. You're going to be excited, energetic, you'll want to listen, you'll want to be the silent witness, you believe they can be your teacher, you know. So learning, I'd say, can I change that and say the attitude of selling? To me, it's all about learning how your mind works and switching it on to your potential. And that underpins everything.
Okay. Kevin, thank you very much for being with us. It was a pleasure to listen to you.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Hvala lepa, ker ste naj poslušali, oziroma gospoda Kellyja.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.